And in the past, when I would listen to the Table podcast with you and Dr. Bach, and you would talk about this, you always referred to him as the historical Jesus. What do we mean by that, historical Jesus, as opposed to just Jesus?
Just Jesus. In John, we read that Jesus actually did so many other things that weren't written in the Bible, right? When we talk about the historical Jesus, we're talking about the Jesus that can be discovered through historical inquiry, through the tools of a historian. So even though we don't have direct access to past events, we can study surviving traces of those past events. And it's really a way to have common ground with people who don't see the Bible as an authority, who don't see the Bible as the inspired word of God. But whether you're talking to a Jewish historian or an atheist historian, there are facts and there are surviving traces of the life of Jesus that we can look at. And so it's taking a look at those things through the eyes of a historian. That's what studying the historical Jesus is about.
It's not so much of just taking the Bible at its word, not taking away the fact that the Bible's inerrant, but maybe just not going there whenever you're talking to somebody who doesn't hold that the Bible is inerrant.
Yeah, some people aren't comfortable just starting with the Bible. And so one thing that I do is I try to show people how there's corroborating evidence outside the Bible for just the mere existence of Jesus. And sometimes that's enough for people to go, okay, well, let me crack open the Bible and at
Awesome.
least take a look at it. And so it's a way in for people to take a look at the Bible if they're not comfortable just starting there.
Yeah, absolutely. And some Christians who are hearing this, who aren't used to talking about Jesus in this way, might get the impression that this conversation takes away the spiritual aspect of Jesus, or we abandon it and we replace it with just historicity and humanity. They may be uncomfortable talking about it or skeptical about talking about it this way. Is that what's going on here?
Well, if you take a look at the writings of the Apostle Paul, he really believed that the fact that Jesus was not only a real person, but actually really died and was really resurrected is the very basis of the truth of our faith. Paul says in 1 Corinthians 15 that if Jesus is not raised, then we are to be pitied of all people. And so what he does is he pins the validity of the entire Christian worldview on a historical fact which can be investigated, the resurrection of Jesus. So even by the Bible's own standard, studying history to get more confidence in what we believe actually is a good thing. Luke wrote Luke Acts so that in part, so Theophilus would know there's good reason to believe what he was taught about Jesus. And also the early church controversies. Some people were saying that Jesus wasn't really human. Studying the historical Jesus, showing that Jesus was actually a real person, is something that the church has been doing, even in its nascent form, to say that Jesus wasn't just some kind of phantom who seemed to have a physical body. He was a real person. He was a real human. Those are the Docetists who said that he just seemed to be human. He was just like God in disguise. We also believe that God acted in history. And so studying Jesus as a historian shows us that God acted in history.